Welcome to Wins and Lessons Podcast, hosted by Michael Winters, the Growth Educator. This podcast is a platform to give listeners an inside perspective on life, education, and business experiences from each guest. Thank you for tuning in. It's Wins and Lessons.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wins and Lessons. Thank you for tuning in. Today, I have the honor of having the guest of my longtime friend, Brother Paul Calcote. He is also a fellow podcaster of Real People, Real Talk. So I look forward to our conversation here tonight and just, him sharing more about himself and his journey into what he's doing today. So, man, Paul, I'm going to just open up the floor, man. You can tell the people a little bit about yourself and your platform and what really motivates you to do the things you do.
And Michael, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me to Wins and Lessons. If I was to be honest here, seeing you with your podcast was really like inspiring and like, man, if he could do it, I know I could do, just growing up in the same spot and around the same age. And so I just want to get that out the way and just acknowledge you and tell you thank you for that, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Most definitely. So I started my podcast, Real People, Real Talk, like a lot of other people doing the class. I call us the class of the pandemic when it wasn't that much to do. So it was like, hey, start a podcast. And a little laid on my heart for a while. But for me, it was a way of fulfilling the Great Commission in a different avenue in the midst of all this social distancing. So my podcast, I believe in holistic health. And so I want to take people from surviving to thriving in 5 areas. Spiritually, I want people to know Jesus. And then I want them to get their body right physically, get their money right financially, take care of themselves relationally and mentally and emotionally, kind of put that together. Mm-hmm. And my heart behind that, I want people to be all that God has called them to be. So when you listen to Real People, Real Talk, I hope that you leave encouraged and inspired. Similar to like when I get through listening to Wins and Lessons, I'm like, okay, then I'm turning my losses into lessons. And so that's kind of my story about my podcast in a nutshell, bro.
That's what's up, man. Thank you for sharing it. I definitely respect that, the work that you're doing and the focus on those 5 areas. I think those are 5 critical areas, not just for people in our age groups, man, but man, for people of all ages. Like if you truly want to win, those are the 5 areas that you really need to focus in on. So, we grew up together. We used to, as kids, man, I remember visiting, my parents would visit your parents and we would kick it or whatever. And play outside in the yard. I remember you used to have weights and stuff at your house. I know you were on the powerlifting team in high school, but I remember all those times, man. And it's crazy to see how now, years later, we're both successful men. We're both active, we're both working, man. It's just a blessing and an honor that, to see over time how we, each develop and just, become who we are today. So I've appreciated just, watching your journey. To growing where you are now. The most recent thing that I've really been paying attention to as it relates to you, I know that you for a while you were a minister at Mississippi College, and a lot of people that I grew up with and went to school with, were a part of your ministry as well. And I've heard nothing but great. Yes, sir. I've heard nothing but great things about how impactful you were, and how instrumental you were to them in different seasons of their lives. So. I just want to start off, man, by trying to learn more about what inspired you to get into ministry. I know your parents are ministers in Vicksburg. What inspired you to kind of pick that up the road with it?
Yes, I love that question. Before I get to that, man, you took it back. I forgot I had them weights at the crib and some weights outside. I used to play basketball. Yep. I'm really grateful for social media, how I'm living in Houston now, how we're able to stay connected through social media. Because like I say, we grew up together in the same, shout out to the Magnolia state of Mississippi, grew up in Vicksburg, and you was a Viking, right?
Yes, sir. Dub C, baby.
Okay, then. Well, I don't hold that against you, but no, man. I always remember our families were close and we just kind of knew each other. Most definitely. It's cool how things come full circle. And like you say, I'm just as proud of you as you are proud of me. And so with Lighthouse, so my parents are pastors and I grew up being a PK, and my dad had a small church, had a small church, and he would allow me to preach at a young age. And back then it probably wasn't preaching. It gradually grew into actual preaching. And God is just so faithful that I knew what I wanted to do at a young age. I was like, I like to speak in a way that impacts people with the gospel. And so I surrendered to the call of the ministry, and I was naive. I didn't know that you can go to school for ministry. Like I was like, oh, Mississippi College, I can major in Christian studies. So I go there, majored in Christian studies, minored in communications. And in all honesty, I love that school, but there wasn't a place for African Americans as it relates to like a ministry to go to. Like every other ministry I would go to, I didn't see people that looked like me on the stage or doing music. And no shade to them, but when I go somewhere, the first thing I do is look for somebody that looked like me. I
Yeah.
feel like fellow minorities kind of get that. And so I started a ministry called Lighthouse Ministries. And man, I met a lot of phenomenal people through that. A lot of the people that I met has either been at my wedding or been to my wedding or to my graduation. And we had a weekly worship service every Wednesday night. We used to say going live at 7:05. And so, and then the crazy thing, so that started like in 2008. So it was around the same time President Obama got elected. And so
Right.
just like, a lot of like Black pride going on and all that good stuff. But yeah, man, that's was one of my favorite moments at Mississippi College, was just having a ministry that reached my age group and just inspired them to be all that God has called them to be, or shine brightly, because it was called Lighthouse. So we had to shine brightly.
Right, man. I love that, man. Again, kudos to you for taking the initiative to do that. I can remember at the university that I went to and graduated from, I kind of had a similar experience with looking for just a place to worship and learn more about God, but yet there weren't a lot of people that looked like me. And if it was people that looked like me, we really didn't have anything in common. So, kudos to you for going ahead and doing the work to get that started and make that available to people who needed it. So the next
All
thing,
right. And the crazy thing, real quick, like the crazy thing about that was it was a diverse group. Even though it was Black people, it was a diverse group where you had people from the Kojic Church, you had people from the Baptist Church, you had people from Church of God in Christ USA. And there's so many like different denominations. And so that was a real fun time. And so I know you interviewing me, but I got a question, man. I want to know, how did you like start your podcast? Because when I saw your title, and I saw it on Apple Podcasts, like Wins and Lessons, like that's some good like motivational stuff. So just curious if you don't mind me asking how you got your start and your purpose and stuff.
oh man, I'm glad you asked. So Wins and Lessons was birthed in a season of my life where I was really going through, I was learning a lot of lessons about life. I know that I had accomplished a lot of things that I wanted to, but during that season, I was experiencing things that I didn't expect to be experiencing. So I wanted to have a platform to not only utilize my voice, but tap into the voices of others, because I know that, as a human race, we all are constantly learning. We all are constantly going through shared experiences. And I just
Facts.
wanted to create a platform, man, for, people who were close to me, people who I was connected to, share their experiences, share their lessons, whether it be Black male educators, whether it be childhood friends, people in the community, whoever. Like, it's not limited. Wins and Lessons is not a platform that's limited to a certain type of people, but
Right.
again, just those who I'm connected to, that I know can really speak to certain aspects of life that would be helpful for the audience. And so, yeah, so I basically wanted to launch it, man, and also be an example to show other people like, hey, you have a voice too, and you can use your voice to impact others. I'll never forget one of my youth ministers growing up. I was in high school, I believe. His name is Michael Moat, and he told me one day before church, he was like, "Hey man, you have a voice, and you need to use it." So growing up in high school, I was really quiet. I've always been reserved to myself. But for him to tell me that, I always wonder, like, bro, what you talking about? But now that I've gotten older and have experienced things in life, I always think about that. And I try to be intentional with using my voice whenever I can, however I can. And I'm gonna throw the shameless plug out there. So I am in the process of finalizing my book and a curriculum titled "You Deserve It." Um, and that book was inspired through some of my life experiences that have shaped me and taught me many lessons, whether those lessons were hard lessons or just organic lessons that come with, life and that come with time. But yes, I was excited to really write about that. I've always been into writing since I want to say my freshman year of high school. That's when I really took a strong interest in writing. So ever since then, I've been writing poems, short stories. I actually wrote a children's book in high school. Not too many people know that I wrote it for one of my class
Wow.
projects. Yep. And the teacher loved it so much, she gave it to, I think, one of her nieces and nephews as a gift. So, writing has always been something that's been one of my strong spots. But yeah, You Deserve It. It's available for pre-order. And again, the curriculum is a 30-day guide, and each day it highlights either a mental or emotional aspect that you want to address, and make sure that you're regulating your thoughts, you're regulating your feelings, based on what you're going through in a specific season in life. So I'm excited to share the finished product with the world, man, and hopefully it's impactful. Hopefully the people will take away the key points that I put in there for them to take away. If not, if anything, let it be an example. Like, hey, this dude, I know this dude. He wrote a book. I can write a book too, man. I tell anybody can write a book. Anybody can do that. So that's just a little shameless plug about You Deserve It, the book.
Most definitely. Before you ask me another question, just want to say acknowledgement, just you being a trailblazer. Like I operate from this like abundance mentality. Too many times, like I love all shades of people speaking directly to our people. Sometimes I don't know, this crab in the barrel mentality that we can have. And I feel like we need to complement each other more and collaborate more. And I believe in collaboration over competition. And
Okay.
like, I remember times like you shout out my podcast, I shout out your podcast because I'm not in competition. Like they can listen to Wednesday lessons on Monday. They can listen to Real People Real Talk on Tuesday. And I feel like we need to just collaborate even more. So I appreciate you being a trailblazer because I have aspirations of being an author, and I'm gonna say it publicly. Text me the link so that way I can purchase and make that purchase and support you, my brother.
Yes, sir. I will do it most definitely. And I'm glad that you brought that up about us as a human race. We should look more to collaborate, look for more opportunities to collaborate, rather than compete. I think, man, more specifically in the Black community, especially with Black males, we've been kind of taught growing up and bred that other people who are like you are your competition, like especially like playing football.
Oh yeah.
Vicksburg and Warren Central, that rivalry, it's hectic. But you grow up with these people, maybe on the other side of town, maybe even down the street, a couple blocks away. They could go to a totally different school from you. Um, but yet when it's time for you all to play, when we play football, like y'all not friends no more. You know, that's
Mm.
that's your opposition. And unfortunately that translates into many other areas in life as well. I've been out of high school for I don't know how long, so I don't know, if it's still like that or not. But I know for me personally, I'll be honest with you, I had a hard time making friends because I had that mentality.
Mm.
But now as a matured adult, I'm able to see things like, okay, we each have our own individual gift to share with the world. Just because we all have gifts doesn't mean that one person's gift outweighs another. It just simply means that we provide our own unique thing to the world, and we should be able to do that in a way that we can celebrate others' gifts. Like, I
Big facts.
respect what you're doing over here. I like that. I can see the value that you add, to the world by doing what you do. Keep doing it. It doesn't take, like you said, it doesn't take anything away from me nor the other person. Show love. I think that that's what we were put here to do, is to celebrate others, man. And when we can really come together and put that thought at the forefront, I think we will move forward, not only as a culture, but as a human race. We can move forward when we're able to say, okay, we all have an obligation to fulfill whatever role, whatever purpose God put us here to do. And I'm not going to try to belittle anybody else to make myself look good, but I'm actually going to help everybody around me achieve their purpose and achieve their mission.
I
Yes,
love
sir.
that.
But I wanted to really tap into your podcast, Real People, Real Talk. You shared earlier that you kind of started it during the pandemic. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought you had been doing it because you go so hard with promoting and everything. Like I didn't realize it was something new. I just thought you had always been doing it. So I learned something new here tonight on the show that it's something that you recently started. But I watched some of your episodes, and I'm gonna put this on the air too. I'm going to watch another episode and leave another review on your show. But I've listened to a couple of clips. I know most definitely, and just blown away by the quality, number one, of the show, and also how you interact with your guests on the show. And to say that you're new to podcasting, you have a very strong rapport with people. I like the way that you navigate through the conversations. Even here tonight, man, like it's just easy to facilitate a conversation. So, do you mind sharing a little bit more about what end result do you expect from having people on your show, also from your platform?
Man, it's something that I really need to pray through and think through, because like it took me a while like to learn podcasting, because I've been speaking and preaching for a while, but it's different when you like conversing with somebody. And even on my solo episodes, it's different because usually in church when you're preaching, you get the head nods or the amens, or they're taking notes, you get immediate feedback, but you
Right.
don't get that feedback when I'm just in my room and recording the podcast. So it's been like a learning curve. I like to tell people I went to YouTube University and Google University. I
Mhm.
can't tell you how many YouTube videos that I've watched and like Google blogs or articles like I have read, and just really just soak myself in this world of podcasting. It's been like a journey. A journey of joy. I don't know if you can attest to this, but I feel like that podcasting is therapeutic. How would you respond to that?
I would definitely say so because I'll keep it real with you, man. It's been hectic. My schedule's been very hectic and draining. But here tonight, with this conversation, I feel free. Like I don't feel like I'm under any type of pressure or anything like that. So I can attest to it. It is, somewhat therapeutic.
I feel that because I also feel like I'm walking in purpose and I'm doing my part to fulfill God's um um the great commission. So whether I get one download or 100 downloads, I've done my part. I leave the results up to God. I've got better with it. I try not to put my identity in it, because I remember when I first started, I was checking stats like on the hour every single day, and now I done got to like a more healthier place, like checking like once a week, sometimes twice a week, just to see what conversations work better. But the end result, I would like to monetize it in a way, can yeah, I like to monetize it and be able to make money off of it, because my goal is to provide like the best content, the best guests. Like I do my research about the specific guests, or I do a sermon once a month on the podcast, because I don't want to just be a podcast or just a business, but a
Mhm.
podcast ministry. Like I say, I want one one like overarching goal is, outside of like monetizing, of course, I really want to empower people to be everything that God has called them to be, because
Absolutely.
I face that thing of like operating in fear. I was like, there's already 500,000 podcasts out there, and I don't have a big following like the Joe Rogans of the world and all this and that. And so this is going through this imposter syndrome. Like, why would somebody, listen to this 31-year-old that just started podcasting? So I had to overcome that fear. And so like the word the Lord just put in my heart was like to shoot your shot. In other words, like I want the listener to know on Real People Real Talk and Wins and Lessons that whatever God has been stirring in your heart to do, like do that thing. Like Peter, he was the only one outside of Jesus Christ that walked on water, not because he was necessarily something special, but because he shot his shot. He got out the boat and started walking. Too many times we allow paralysis of analysis. We try to, figure every single thing out, how this go work, and there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of risk, like because even when I took my Instagram from private to public, that was like a big thing to me, because now that I'm private, like people, you seen the social media, like they get ruthless out there and they say unkind things, and they got this keyboard courage that they wouldn't say to people's faces. And so that was even a big thing for me to take my Instagram account from private to public. And so that's my overarching, like, I hit those 5 different areas, but my overarching goal is for people to shoot their shot and go, man, start the YouTube channel, Write the song, do the blog. I don't care if there's 50 million blogs out there. They ain't you. I heard last thing, I'm kicking it over to you. I heard this lady say, in the year that you was born, God looked at the year, he looked at the world and say, you know what? The world needs Michael, or the world needs Paul, or the world needs a listener in the year that you was born. And so, man, I just want to encourage people to do everything that God has called them to be. Like, I want to get to heaven and God be like, man, you used up everything. I don't want him to say, well, Paul, you had a movie in you. You had a spoken word in you. You had insert anything else in you, but you brought it here. And so I want to get to heaven fully used by God.
Man, that's the word right there, man. And I agree with you for real. Like I'm sitting and listening to everything you're saying, and it's crazy because I've been thinking along the same pathway in terms of making sure that you use everything that God has given you. I think a lot of times people do end up getting trapped in fear when God has put something in their heart or put something on their mind that they've been thinking about for a long time. They get caught up in their fear trap thinking, all right, there are already so many other people doing this. So many other people are viral for doing this. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to copy off of somebody else, or I don't want to get lost in the shuffle. And I remember having a conversation with my dad recently, and he just really helped correct my thinking. He just gave me an example like when you go to the grocery store, you go down the bread aisle. Do you see one brand of bread? Do you see one type of bread? I was like, no. It's like it's a lot of different brands. Me, I'm cheap. I'm gonna buy the if I'm in Walmart, I'm gonna get the great value. I'm gonna get the Kroger brand.
Yes,
But
sir.
anyway, it's a lot of different brands. It's a lot of different types of bread. And so the moral of the story was, even though there are a variety of the same thing, it's still needed. People are still buying all those different types of bread, all those different brands. And so when it comes to you doing your gift,
Wow.
or using your gift or walking in your purpose, it might be a lot of other people doing the same thing. But guess what? They don't do it the way that you do it. They don't bring what you bring to it. So I
Say
appreciated
that.
him. Yes, sir. I appreciated him for putting that into perspective for me when it came to doing the podcast, the book, and some other projects that I got going. So I just want to share that to the listeners. Like, I don't care who else, like you said, Paul, it don't matter who else doing what you're doing. They can't do it like you. When God made you, whatever you were born
Facts.
in, he knew specifically, all right, when this person gets to this stage of point in life, this is what's going to be going on in the world. I'm going to take them through all these experiences to shape them in such a way that what they offer can only come from them. And only I can design these experiences to, line up this way. And so again, that's another thing that really inspired me to write my book, man. Like my life experiences are unique. A lot of people, many people have, gone through a lot of things that I've been through, but yet they're not me and they haven't done things the way that I do them. So, that's another, inspiration, man, from my path and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But
And that's
I,
really awesome, man. Because I like to use this example. Like, I love steak and lobster. Steak and lobster are probably the best food that God can put on this planet. But no matter how good it is, there are some people in this world that don't like steak and lobster.
right.
And just because those people don't like steak and lobster, that don't mean steak need to stop being steak or lobster need to stop being lobster. So be who God has called you to be. I like, and even with my podcast, for those that don't like it or don't listen to it, that's okay. That just means, I'm not called to minister to you per se. And so I want to echo what you said, tell the listener to embrace their uniqueness, because I feel like people are waiting. I'm talking to the listener. People are waiting on you
Mhm.
to walk in purpose and to be obedient to what God has called you to do. I give you real quick examples. One guy, I was speaking out against racial issues because my podcast was started around the George Floyd thing. I was just, speaking truth. And, I got this long email from this dude. He had my number. And so I was, I typed out the long email, then I deleted it and was like, hey, you got my number. If you want to talk, we can. I'm not about to, waste my time, blah, blah, blah. And he never called me. So you know what? That was kind of I ain't gonna lie. That bothered me.
Mhm.
But God was so good that about 4 days later, one of my cousins called me on Facebook. Haven't heard from him in years. And he was like, because of your podcast, you are helping me to find my way back to God. And so when he said that other email it's going to stay in file 13. And one other guy, I think he one of my Instagram followers, we follow each other. He mentioned something about the sermon that I had did during the summer, and he said, man, that was exactly what I needed to hear, blah 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 blah, from Germany. And I'm like, here I am, all I did was say yes to the Lord, and it's like making an impact, like in Germany and also locally with my cousin. So I say that not to bring glory to myself, but to say there are people, and I quote this because somebody left a review. They was like, thank you for walking in obedience and purpose to the Lord, and they're waiting on you to do the same thing. So do it, shoot the shot.
Man, that's awesome, man. I love it. And I keep up with your posts. I remember you posted something on Instagram. I can't remember when it was, but you were speaking about people who offer criticism but don't offer support. Man, bro, I wish I could have liked that post, bro, like 100 times, because that's so real. You know, a lot of times people are quick to criticize what you're doing or offer unsolicited feedback, but yet they don't.
Unsolicited.
Unsolicited, man. Like, you can really move around. If it's not for you, you know, go look on the other page over there. But yeah,
Right.
that is absolutely correct. And I share, this last thing, man, with my book. When I launched the pre-order, I just, in my mind, I didn't have any expectations of where my support would come from, but I just knew that, okay, I have done something that I wrote down that I wanted to do. Um, and I was proud of myself. I was like, if I don't get any pre-orders, like nobody, shares or posts, whatever, I'm fine with it, because I have peace knowing that I'm doing something that I said that I was going to do. I'm doing something that has always been a goal and a dream of mine. But I did get overwhelming support when I did release it for pre-order. But I noticed that it was a certain, set of people that uh, I kind of expected support from, but didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on my mindset. I'm not gonna lie. That's where the growth educator come from. I read a book about the growth mindset. It just really changed my life. But so I've been trying to grow my mindset a little bit, shift it from seeing things one way to another way. And I was like, I'm not gonna take offense to these people not supporting this, but it does make me think about them a little differently, and it does make me put some things in perspective. So I talked to my dad about it. Like, shout out to my pops. Like, that's my best friend. Like, this is my thought partner. Like, I can, share anything with him. But anyway, he
Dr.
was,
Winners.
yes, sir, Doc. That's him, the GOAT. But
Right. My 8th grade principal. So shout out to you, my brother. My bad.
hey, nah, you good. But I shared the situation with him, and I was in Atlanta when I was telling him about it. But anyway, he was like, man, when you think about those people that be around or whatever, are they into education? Do they really read books like that? I was like, no. He was like, okay, so you got to put that in perspective. Like, just because they may be around you a lot, or because you've done X, Y, and Z with these people, that doesn't mean that what you have to offer is for them. So that really helped me
Okay.
not take offense to the lack of support or lack of attention. They just really put things in perspective. Like, okay, this might not be for them. This project, this book that I'm releasing, it's for somebody, but it might not be for them. And so that immediately helped me to release any potentially, thoughts of offense or any negative feelings that I would have had toward those people.
Mm.
And so now I'm able to, freely move and act how I want to, and not, hold anything against them, because nobody's obligated to support anything that I do. But you were saying earlier that when people do support you, it's a great feeling. So the people who are interested in the work that I'm doing, the people who do support the work that I'm doing, it's for them. God
Right.
brought those people, to me. So I want to make sure that I keep myself grounded in terms of, I don't have to have a million. I don't have to sell a million copies. I don't have to sell 1,000 copies. If I only sell 100 copies in my book, guess what? I'm going to make sure that my book will impact the lives of those 100 readers.
There you go.
And, from there, it'll do the work that needs to be done. So Yeah, man. It's been an amazing journey. It's been an interesting journey to say the least. But I've committed myself to it, and my life has changed ever since. And I'm just excited to see the end result. Shout out to everybody who's already, gotten their pre-order. I know that some people uh, want to buy the finished product, and I respect it, and it's definitely coming soon. But shout out to everybody who has acknowledged it and supported and encouraged me. Like it means a lot. I'm, very, very humble person, very reserved. I'm trying to grow out of that because I don't want to, withhold anything from people who need it. But I'm trying to break out of my shell. I think writing the book was really my way of pushing myself out there. Like, all right, bro,
Wow.
you can't die with all these ideas. Like 2020 really
Ooh,
put a lot of stuff in perspective for me. Like, bro,
that's
people are
good, bro.
dying, bro. Like when Kobe Bryant died, man, I was like,
Man,
whoo.
still ain't
when,
over that.
man, when I read the news about Kobe, I got mad. One of my friends sent me the link. I was like, bro, stop playing with me. Why you
Right.
like
Ain't no
don't
way.
don't even play with me like that and send me some mess like that. But when I found out it was true, that really showed me that God is trying to get our attention. And 2020
Mm,
was not going to be a regular year. And so as events continually unfolded, when more unfortunate events started happening, like that really put more initiative in me to go ahead and get started on doing some of this stuff. I'm like, okay, God,
right.
God, I'm not even about to play with you like that, big dog. Let me go on and write this book. Let me go on and work on this plan. Let me go ahead and put these things into motion because you never know when it's your time. And I want to make sure that, like you said, when I'm ready to go meet the Lord, like I don't want there to be anything unused. I don't want there to be any potential
Right.
left over. I want to, do everything that it is that God put in me to do and put me here to do. So, I mean, I will end by saying
Bro,
that, and definitely to the listeners, man. Like Brother Paul said earlier, like do it. Whatever He put in your heart and mind to do, go forward.
most definitely. Man, there was so many good nuggets in that. Like as you was talking, you are the epitome of the name of your podcast, Wins and Lessons, as you're just going through, you're talking about the wins and the lessons. And I think it was Les Brown that said, he asked a question in one of his motivational speeches, like, what's like the richest place? And people started saying, maybe somewhere in Africa with the gold, or somewhere in Saudi Arabia with the oil. But he was like, nah, it's a graveyard.
Right.
Songs has never been written, books have never been written, podcasts that haven't started, and that's like the richest place of all those dead dreams there. And last thing I would say, in response to you, man, with that support thing, man, you just never know. And this is broadly speaking, I don't have nobody in mind when I say this, but just never know like what people are jealous of you, where they cool with you until it looks like you're doing more than them. And there's some people that I support not because I necessarily like their work, but because I'm cool with them. Like I'm not a fan of reading poetry, but one of my homeboys, he wrote a spoken word book, and I bought it just because he my boy, not because I'm a fan of spoken word. And so I feel like people um I often don't like to support when they know somebody, and sometimes people only support things that's popular and get on the bandwagon. And I'll be honest with you, and this is something I'm still praying through, and I ask the Lord, if I'm wrong, lead me to repent. But there's some people that I texted everybody on my phone about my podcast, and I get it. Everybody don't listen to podcasts. My podcast not for everybody. I get it. But to the people that left me on red, I deleted their numbers because I feel like if we have each other's numbers, you could have at least responded and said, either I'm praying for you, or, no thanks, or response. And so it was crazy. One guy, he texted me the other day, and I was like, who's this? And he said his name or whatever. And he was like, oh man, that hurts. I was like, my bad, man. I just deleted everybody number that left me on red, and kind of kept it moving. And with what he needed, I still helped him out. But I just don't have time to waste with people. I say it like this, and I kick it back over to you. No, if there's no reciprocity, there's no relationship. There has to be some give and take. So if you're gonna leave me on red, I ain't gonna give you a chance to leave me on red again. I risk my case.
Hey, bruh, that's hard right there, man. And I guess I'll sum it up by saying life is different when you are living in your dreams. Relationships are different when you're living in your dreams. You see things differently. Everything changes the moment that you begin to pursue your purpose. Your whole mindset, your whole mind, can't talk. mindset shifts. So when I did that pre-order, like my life literally changed. Like I went from being an educator, a father, educator, this and the third, to I'm a whole author now. Not only am I an author, but it's so many other streams and it's visible. So my mindset shifted from, okay, I'm cool with such and such, but now like, okay, you see I'm doing this and you don't acknowledge it, they're saying something. Silence is loud. Silence speaks volume.
Facts.
And y'all gonna have to catch us on part 2. We can sit here and talk all night. But man, listen, I wanna wrap up by saying thank you again, brother, for taking the time out tonight. I know that today is election day, and I want to get, really caught up on what these numbers are looking like and all that good stuff. Regardless of whatever the outcome is in this election, we know that God is still in control, and that your responsibility won't change. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, your loved ones, and live in your purpose. But brother, thank you again, man. Hey, y'all make sure that y'all subscribe to Real People, Real Talk. Follow my brother, Paul Calcote. Your page. What's your IG handle for your podcast?
I kept it what Real People _ Real Talk.
Okay. So yeah, make sure you go check that out. Make sure you subscribe, follow, share, post, like, comment, show them some love, because like I said, we got to support each other. And also, like you brought out, hey, the lack of support, it's heavy. It's nothing personal. It's all business. Like, if people have been interacting with you for a certain amount of time, they should be, trying to show some type of support. So, definitely go show your brother some love. If you haven't already pre-order, you deserve it. Check out the page, the landing page, youdeserveit.info/pre-order. Just to get a little bit more background information about who I am and what perspective I'll be bringing into that body of work. But man, brother, you be blessed. And to my audience, to my viewers, remember these 3 things: we live, we love, and we learn. Until next time, peace.
This has been another episode of Wins and Lessons. Be sure to download Wins and Lessons podcast from Apple Podcast and Spotify. Subscribe to the Growth Educator channel on YouTube for the videos, and follow at Wins and Lessons Podcast and at the Growth Educator on Instagram. Remember these 3 things: we live, we love, we learn.